Wait, 1 second.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Hang
good
on.
evening. I apologize for being late.
Wait, please. She hasn't started recording yet.
Now we're good? Okay. Yeah, I forgot to turn my phone off too. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for running late. Let's go ahead and call the meeting of August 21st to order. If I can get everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Right hand over heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's make some semblance of stuff here. We need more room. No, I'm good, I'm good. The secretary will call roll, please.
Commissioner Tolson,
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Here.
Commissioner Rice,
Here.
Vice Chairperson Mayor, Chairperson Mann.
Here. May I have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Rice, seconded by Vice Chair, Commissioner Tolson, by consensus. Okay. May I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes as presented.
May I have a second?
Second.
Swapping positions here. We have a motion by Commissioner Tolson and a second by Commissioner Rice by consensus. Okay. Approval of minutes. Declaration of conflict. The secretary will read the declaration of conflict.
If any member of the Planning Commission may have a conflict of interest or any reason why that member must abstain from consideration of any matter on this agenda, he or she should so declare at this time.
Are there any declarations of conflict? Hearing none. Public statements. This is the time allotted for public statements and comments for all items other than public hearing items. Is there anyone in the chamber wishing to be heard on any item that's not already on the agenda? Speak once, speak twice. Hearing none. Correspondence. Are there any correspondences from the Deputy Director, City Planner?
Yes, Chairman Mann, members of the Planning Commission, we provided to each of you 3 supplemental staff reports regarding agenda item 11A1, identified as supplemental, second supplemental, and third supplemental. There's copies also provided to the public out in the lobby.
Wait a minute. Get to the right page. No consent calendar. Continued business? Are they all new?
Yes, the continued business.
First.
Item 10A1 is recommended for a continuance to a date uncertain.
Verify you got 10 and 1. Okay. That one goes over there. So new business, we got 11A1 up first. For some reason I can't find my agenda.
What about 10A2?
10A2. Well, that's a good question. Oh, 10A2. Can I steal your agenda? For some reason I can't find mine. Because I brought the book, but I don't remember seeing. Oh, I do have that agenda. No, see, I can't find, okay, I'm just gonna stick with yours. So it's 10A1, so that one is CUP 2023, that's the one that we're doing, continues to a date uncertain?
We're recommending a continuance to a date uncertain for 10A1.
Okay. And then you've got 10A2.
If you'd like to make a motion just to solidify that continuance, you may.
Okay. Do I have a motion to continue business public hearing CUP S 2023-004 to a date uncertain?
I move to continue CUP-S 2023-004 to a date uncertain.
I have a motion from Commissioner Tolson. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second from Commissioner Kennedy. Vote, I'm assuming, or consensus? Okay. Take a vote. I don't think it's necessary, but it's always better. Okay. Please go ahead and vote and lock it in.
What's the, to continue? Yeah.
To continue to a date uncertain. There's no definitive date. Everybody voted, locked in?
Not you.
Oh, wait a minute. What happened to mine? Okay. My vote disappeared.
Here, let me cancel and start again. Take two.
Okay. Try it again. We have to vote again.
Kennedy. There we go.
Are we good?
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Now moving on to 10A2. Okay, let me find 10A2. Oh, new packet. Got it. I got it. I'm stealing his. Was there something like that? No script? Looking for the script. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We're going back and forth since we had no meeting 2 weeks ago. We're going back and forth from books to non-books. Do you have one? Oh. Okay. Now we're on track. This is a time and place for a public hearing set, This is the time and place set for the public hearing on the consideration of CUP-S-2023-0013 and the project's mitigation negative declaration and mitigation monitoring plan for the project. Are there any ex parte communications to report? Okay, hang on a minute. 10A2. Got it. Okay. Sorry. Are there any ex parte communications to report? Okay, hearing none. May we have an oral report on this matter from staff, please?
Yes, Chairman, Madam members of the Planning Commission, this item was continued from August 7th. We received comments on the environmental document, which we responded to in today's staff report. The August 7th staff report is incorporated into the new staff report by reference and attached in your packet. This is for a proposed 179,490 square foot industrial building. Our associate planner, Rui Chaparian, will have the presentation.
Thank you, Sean. Good evening, commissioners. Tonight's request is from the applicant Dunn Simi LP, who requests approval of a conditional use permit to construct a 179,490 square foot tilt-up building for warehouse and office use on a 10.3 acre site and adopt a mitigated negative declaration for the application. Presently, the property is developed with a two-story, 135,000 square foot research and development and office building, landscaping and parking on a graded pad built circa 1997. The existing development is highlighted in yellow on screen. Existing manufacturing, industrial, and office developments surround the site to the north and east. The Brandeis Bardin Institute exists to the south, and a proposed senior living facility is under review to the west of the project site. The graded portion of the pad slopes down to the street along Guardian Street and Pepper Tree Lane, while portions of the pad along the western property line remain ungraded. Trees screen the majority of the building frontage from the street. The proposed project complies with the city's municipal code and Brandeis Bardin Institute's specific plan development guidelines. The site will have 129 parking spaces for both public and employee use, located on the south, west, and north sides of the building. The site will be accessible via only one driveway off of Guardian Street. That driveway will also be used for truck access to the 18 loading docks located along the eastern wall of the building. The heritage oak on site will remain, per my mouse right here, along with 34 other existing trees and new landscaping and hardscaping. Additionally, the site will offer outdoor seating to the west of the building for employee use. As shown on screen, the proposed structure also meets the height, parking, landscaping, and screening requirements of the Development Code and Brandeis Bardin Institute-specific plan. Earlier, I passed around the materials and colors board, which comply with those recommendations and the Brandeis Bardin specific plan. The floor plan on screen shows the proposed warehouse and office space and loading docks. Here is a view of the building from the driveway off of Guardian Street. As you can see, the loading docks are separated by a gate and will be screened by an 8-foot tall screen wall. The design also incorporates articulation along the building's facade via wall indentation and use of different colors, such as gray and white tones, and materials such as stone veneers and glass details. As shown in this rendering, a landscape buffer area will screen a majority of the buildings from Tapo Canyon Road and Guardian Street. The trees in the middle of this image are proposed at 8 years growth, whereas the trees to the right and left on the screen are existing. Staff prepared an initial study in accordance with CEQA, and it was determined that the project could have less than significant impacts. A subsequent MND was prepared also in accordance with CEQA. Staff received comments from the California Department of Toxic Substance Control and the Ventura County Air Quality Pollution Control District and prepared responses to those comments. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution approving the proposed conditional use permit, CUP-S-2023-0013, and a mitigated negative declaration for the application. Thank you, and this concludes staff's presentation, and we are available for questions.
Do any commissioners have any questions of staff at this time?
No.
I just have one quick question. What is the age of the current building that's there now that's going to be demolished? 1997. Okay, I just wanted to verify. Okay. Nothing else? Okay. I will open the public testimony portion of the hearing. Would the applicant like to present the project?
Good evening. My name is Matt Harrell, speaking on behalf of the applicant. First off, I think we should let you know who the owner is of this property. It is a a family-run real estate group, third generation. They focus primarily on commercial and industrial projects, and they've owned this site for about 20 years. They like the site, they like the community, but unfortunately, due to the pandemic, the office markets kind of got hammered, and this particular site has just really not recovered. So about 18 months ago, the owner decided to pursue a different use for it to become an industrial site. And a little over a year ago, we started working with our design team and city departments to come up with a plan that you see tonight. We have gone through several rounds of review and comments, and I would like to note that city staff has been extremely helpful, starting off with Zarui. Very clear, very straightforward with what they were looking for, and have been very helpful in the whole process. The result is what we think is going to be a project that will revitalize the site. It's going to provide new jobs during construction, as well as permanent jobs for the future users. In addition to that, the value of the new structure over the existing is going to provide substantially more property tax revenue, which will be a benefit to the city. Tonight we have with us our architect, our civil engineer, and our traffic engineer, in case you guys have any other questions you'd like to have answered. So with that, I will turn it over to our architect to give you a more detailed overview of the project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Planning Commission. My name is Jaime Cruz. I'm the project architect with HPA Architecture. So what we're showing here obviously is that our project site is to the south of the 118 freeway. And in terms of placement, you can see that immediately just to the north of our proposed project is a bunch of existing retail and commercial buildings, which we are integrating into in terms of already existing location and traffic flows. You can see then that from the existing driveway off of Garding, which we also propose to keep as our main entry point into our site, you see that we were placing the building with the future office locations facing towards the west, towards Guardian and Pepper Tree, Tabo Canyon, and having the dock area facing towards the east. And this is an entry view as you come up the existing driveway off of Guardian. You see basically the corner, the northwest corner of the building, which show the amount of architecture and component and designation, color, clear story windows that we're proposing on a rear corner of the building. And then again, this is from the intersection of Guardian and Pepper Tree Lane, where you see the majority of our building, our primary corners, pretty much concealed with both combination of the existing as well as the proposed landscape and trees. And again, this is at the actual project site. You see one of the primary office locations, which has the majority of our detailing of the glazing, our details with stone, painted metal, and you see also the large amount of glazing, clear story glazing throughout all elevations of the building. As you can see, we were using a combination of a cool color of painted concrete with blue glass and stone elements as well as painted metal elements on throughout the building itself. And that's similar, I think, to the material board that you have in front of you. So that concludes my presentation, so I'm open to any questions you may have. Thank you.
Are there any questions of the applicant? Yes. By all means, Commissioner Tolson.
Is there a proposed occupant already in line? You don't have to say who it is, but for this project? Okay. Would it be possible that more than one occupant for this?
It's designed to have two users. I think that works the best with this footprint.
I'm sorry. If you, thank you. Come back up to the microphone to answer the questions. My apologies. Thank you.
It's designed currently to have potentially two users. Obviously, whatever we think works best and the right fit.
Thank you.
Hang on, to make sure there's
Yep,
no other
yep.
questions. Okay, now you're good to go. Thank you very much for that. Is there anyone in the chamber wishing to be heard on this matter? I have another card from. That's the applicant?
That's the applicant.
Got it. Okay. Are there any comments from staff regarding any questions or statements that were made during the public hearing?
No, Commissioner.
And I'm assuming the applicant would not like to respond to any comments because there were none really. If there's no other further questions, I'm going to close the public testimony portion of the hearing. With that said, I'm going to close the public testimony portion of the hearing. Now, commissioners, are there any comments or questions from members of the Planning Commission? Commissioner Rice.
Yes. At first, there was a couple things. I mean, there's so many mature trees on that site. I did have a little bit of concerns, but those trees aren't the trees I thought they were when I went and actually looked at the site. I love that oak tree right there on Guardian Street, but you're keeping that tree. It is a beautiful site. It really is. And the trees that I really like, you're keeping. So that's what I love. It's a great site, and I'm glad you're developing the site. And I think you're just going to make the site better. I really do. I think you're only improving the site. And kudos to the architect too, because normally when we get a project like this, they've cut a corner. The architect has cut a corner somewhere, and we've got to go, well, wait a minute. This design, somebody's going to see this from this corner, and it's going to just be some flat wall or something like that. He did a really good job. He didn't do that anywhere. So I really appreciate that we don't have to, haggle with you or anything else. I really, really appreciate that. So I think this is a great project, so thank you.
Is that your notice that you have a question?
No, time to take a pill.
Okay. Any other questions? Commissioner Tolson, you're getting ready to push your button.
Sure, I'll talk. I like the project. It makes total sense going from office to industrial. That's the biggest need in the area. Vacancy rate's pretty low. I love the colors. I love the articulation, and let's move forward with it. Yeah.
Okay. I'll echo what the fellow commissioner have said. I think it's a great project, great job. No other reason to prolong this. No other commissioners' comments?
Yeah, well, just one quick one. Once the approval processes are done, what's your timeline for construction, destruction and construction?
Thank you.
Sorry.
Used to yelling more. We are ready to go ahead and go right into construction documents and go right into the building permit process, assuming that we get approval tonight.
Thank you.
Okay.
How vacant is the building right now?
By the end of the year, it will be vacated. And we figured with the timing of getting our drawings done, this would be ready for hopefully permit first quarter. So.
Okay. Nothing else? You can go ahead and sit down. Thank you very much. Very good at getting up. Appreciate that. May I please have a reading of the resolution?
Resolution number SVPC 08-2024. A resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Simi Valley approving a conditional use permit CUP-S-2023-0013 and adopting a mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring plan to construct a 179,490 square foot warehouse building on a 10.3 acre site located at 4100 Guardian Street.
The chair will now entertain a motion.
I move to adopt a resolution approving CUPS 2023-0013 and adoption of the project, the mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring plan.
Motion was made by Commissioner Rice. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tolson. Call for the vote, please. Okay, hopefully I did it right this time.
Motion passes unanimously.
The appeal period for the conditional use permit is 14 calendar days. And that's it. We're done. Congratulations. Thank you very much for your presentation. Okay, now we're moving on to 11A1, correct? Yeah, I should get rid of the book now. Move over to more papers. Staff ready? Okay. This is a time and place set for public hearing on the consideration of GPA-2022-001, Z-S-2022-0003, PD-S-2022-0012, and one more, VTT 2024-0001, and the mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring plan thereof. Did I get all that?
Good job.
Mine speaks differently. Is there some reason for that?
I don't know.
I don't know. 2022 and 2022.
Oh, you have an AHA in there. I don't have one of those.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. No, it's just the.
Scared me for a minute.
Sorry about that.
Are there any ex parte communications to report?
Yes, I had a meeting with a member of the City Ventures team on Monday to go over the project.
By all means.
Yes, I had a phone call this afternoon with City Ventures team member.
Okay, and I had a meeting with City Ventures on Sunday to discuss the project. May we have an oral report on this matter by staff?
Yes, Chairman Mann, members of the Planning Commission. This is a long-awaited public hearing for the applicant's proposed project. This started as a general plan amendment pre-screening with the City Council to consider the general plan amendment and zone change. This site is currently zoned commercial and residential, so to achieve the proposed project, a GPA and zone change is required. This would proceed to the City Council with an affirmative vote. As a reminder, we provided you 3 supplemental staff reports, including comments from the applicant, also from members of the public as well. Again, this is unlike some of our projects, which are housing projects, are subject to the Housing Accountability Act. Due to this being a zone change or general plan amendment, there's a little more discretion in considering the application because of the additional entitlement for the land use change. So with that, I'll turn it over to Senior Planner Elizabeth Richardson and Deputy Public Works Director Brent Seymour with the PowerPoint presentation.
Good evening. Tonight, we will be reviewing a request for a general plan amendment, zone change, plan development permit, and vesting tentative map for the construction of a new multifamily condominium project. The project consists of a general plan amendment, zone change, plan development permit, and vesting tentative map. And the general plan amendment will change the land use from general commercial and medium-density residential to high-density residential, and the zone change will change the zoning from commercial plan development and residential medium density to residential high density. The plan development permit investing tentative map is for a new 70-unit multifamily residential condominium development. An affordable housing agreement is necessary for the 10 affordable units set aside for moderate income qualified buyers, and the request for waivers. The affordable housing agreement will be considered by the City Council. The project is located on Oak Road near the intersection of Los Angeles Avenue and Yosemite Avenue. The site is comprised of 4 parcels, and the total site area is 3.61 acres. Surrounding uses include residential to the north, the Ventura County Fire Department and an apartment building to the west, commercial buildings and a mobile home park to the east, and 2 residential homes to the south. The site is the former location of the Phoenix Ranch School site and is developed with school buildings, parking lots, a swimming pool, play area, and landscaping, which will be demolished. This is a view of the site as it exists looking from Los Angeles Avenue south on Oak Road. The project site has 2 land uses, general commercial and medium density residential. The requested amendment will change the entire site to high density residential. The project site is split zoned into commercial plan development and residential medium density. The proposed zoning is high density residential. The purpose of the land use amendment and zone change is to allow residential development consistent with the existing residential development surrounding the project site. The site will be developed with a new 70-unit for-sale townhouse condominium community. There will be 11 buildings, and all will be 3 stories. The units are a mix of 1, 3, and 4 bedrooms and range in size between 725 square feet and 1,710 square feet. 10 of the 1-bedroom units will be affordable at the moderate income category. The site will be accessed from Los Angeles Avenue along Oak Road and Shunk Road. 168 parking spaces are provided, and each unit will have its own 1- or 2-car garage. Additional parking will be provided on driveways and common street parking within the development. Amenities will include active outdoor spaces, barbecue area, picnic tables, and benches. The buildings are designed in a progressive Spanish architectural style. Progressive Spanish is inspired by traditional Spanish architectural elements such as red tile roofs, stucco walls, gabled roofs, and simple ornamentation. The design uses stucco and fiber cement composite siding, pitched gable roofs with flat roof tiles. Additional design details include recessed windows, balconies, vent pipe details, and simple articulated openings such as arched doorways. The development has 2 different color schemes, but keeps a cohesive design with the same stucco color, metal windows, and door color and roof tiles on all the buildings. The applicant is providing 10 affordable housing units for moderate income qualified homebuyers. This qualifies the project for a density bonus increase, modified parking requirements, 1 concession, and multiple waivers, as long as the waivers do not impose a life or safety hazard. In general, denial of a concession or waiver requires findings that it would have a specific adverse impact on the health, safety, or physical environment for which there is no mitigation, or that it is not required because it would not preclude construction of the project. The applicant has requested 7 waivers. The 7 requested waivers include decreased front, side, street side, and rear yard setbacks, decreased building separation, decreased single-car garage dimension, and reduced enriched landscaping. The waiver to reduce the front yard setback is for the portion of the building that is over 15 feet in height and along the front property line and is reduced from 40 feet to 18 feet 6 inches. The red triangle delineates a small portion of the building that does not comply with the required front yard setback. The requested setback waiver will reduce the side yard setback from 15 feet to 10 feet. In green, which unfortunately is hard to see, in green, along the perimeter, along the side property lines, this is the allowed, the required setback of 15 feet. And in red is a requested 10-foot side yard setback along the interior side property lines. The reduced street side setback is for the building fronting Shunk Road, here on the east. In green is the required 10-foot setback, and in red is the reduced 5-foot side yard setback. The rear yard setback is requested to be reduced from 20 feet to 10 feet. Here in green is the line of the 20-foot setback, and in red is the 10-foot reduced rear yard setback. The requested decrease of building separation is for the two buildings located on the north end of the project, here along Oak Road. In red, on the red arrow on the screen, is the 20-foot building separation that's required by code. And they are proposing a 15-foot building separation. The single-car garages are required to have a minimum width of 12 feet. The requested waiver will reduce the interior width to 10 feet, 10 inches. Along Los Angeles Avenue, an enriched parkway is required at an average width of 27 feet, 6 inches along the front property line. A waiver is requested to reduce the width between 16 feet, 6 inches and 18 feet, 6 inches. And staff has identified issues with the project on site, drainage in the staff report, and Brent Seymour, Deputy Public Works Director, will present the issue tonight.
Health and safety issues associated with drainage and flooding created by this project have not been adequately addressed. A storm drain system is proposed to drain the northern portion of the site. However, the remaining southerly portion of the site is much lower than Los Angeles Avenue, and another property lies between it and the Arroyo Simi. There is no existing storm drain in Oak Road, nor does the applicant have an easement to drain runoff onto any neighboring property. Disposal of stormwater on site is infeasible due to existing soils and high groundwater. To maximize the development potential of the property, the applicant has eliminated the natural detention basin at the southwest corner of the property. To meet the city's stormwater regulations, an underground detention structure is proposed. The applicant proposes to construct a storm drain system connecting to Oak Road. However, until such time that a storm drain is extended to the Arroyo Simi, stormwater must be pumped to the surface through a bubbler. These constraints will require the design and construction of a private pumping system to be operated and maintained by the HOA. Court actions in California have defined the rights and responsibilities of property owners in respect to storm drainage. Property owners may not change or increase the location, concentration, or flow rate of stormwater leaving their property. On the other hand, property owners must continue to accept historic flows from adjacent property and continue to convey them through their property. The project design and proposed private pumping system does change the historic drainage pattern. The flow from the bubbler will exceed the historic runoff from the project site down Oak Road, which is unimproved. The increased flow will not have any defined path as it flows across the abutting property. New knockouts through the existing screen wall are proposed at the southwest corner of the site for emergency discharge in the event of any pumping system failure. To address this concern regarding the change to the historic drainage pattern, Public Works Standard Condition B13 is included for the plan development application to require a stormwater acceptance deed or easements from the downstream property owner. This documentation will help forestall any later civil action regarding the proposed changes in the pattern of drainage. HOAs within Simi Valley already struggle to proactively maintain their above-ground detention systems. Underground components and proprietary devices are routinely overlooked, out of sight and out of mind. Only a small fraction of HOAs who must submit required annual reporting of inspection and maintenance actually do so, and those that do predominantly fail to follow the operations and maintenance manual and inspection checklists. The city does not have any evidence of an HOA having responsibility for a stormwater pumping facility within the city. Approved projects with pumping facilities have benefited from pre-existing openings or drain pipes through screen walls, establishing a historic pattern of drainage. All engineering solutions have their risks and consequences. The goal is to minimize the risk if the consequence is great. In this case, the consequence of flooding will rely solely on an HOA to eliminate the risk associated with managing a sophisticated stormwater pumping facility.
An initial study and mitigated negative declaration was prepared for this project. Based on the conclusion of the initial study, the project could have potential significant impacts on biological resources, geology and soils, hydrology and water quality, noise, and tribal cultural resources. 15 mitigation measures have been incorporated into the project that would reduce the potentially significant impacts to an insignificant level. And staff recommends the Planning Commission consider the request and suggested options in the issue section of the staff report and provide direction to staff. And this concludes our presentation, and staff is available for questions.
Do any commissioners have any questions of staff at this time? Sure. Okay.
There's currently a couple houses just south of this project. What's the plan on maybe happening to that property in the future? Is there discussion on that?
Commissioner Tolson, we have an application on file to develop and also general plan amendment rezone those two lots in conjunction with the larger lot to the south of there. So they're proposing to combine 3 properties into 1 property for another multifamily development that is in the city's review process currently. It's considered an incomplete application.
Gotcha. So it's almost dovetail of what's happening right now before us. Potentially.
It directly abuts this
Okay.
site, and it's the property in question in terms of the off-site drainage.
Got it. Okay.
Mr. Seymour was stating.
And then in terms of the above ground private pump system, do we have any other properties in this town that has a private pump system currently? It seems like you said they do.
I did a little research. I have been able to find some properties with a pumping system, an apartment project, actually on Cochran Street towards Stearns. It also has a off-site drainage pipe that was pre-existing, and so the system would be designed to have that as its emergency discharge, but also the capacity on site would have to be built to not overtax that discharge. So I don't have that much information on it, but it is
This is not the first time.
it's a similar type of project. However, it has a pre-existing off-site drainage pattern.
Perfect. Thank you. That's it for me.
Any other questions currently? Okay, please. Yes.
In reading through the documentation here really quick, was the city provided any engineering flow rates of an existing pumping system that the applicant had provided? I didn't see any of that.
The applicant did supply a drainage study that provided calculations on flow rates that a system would have to comply with, but we didn't get any design or anything, any details on an actual system.
Any other questions? Okay. I think I have a few. Is the is the project under AHA or not? Affordable housing,
So the project is not subject to the HAA, the Housing Accountability Act, and that's because there's a general plan amendment and a zone change attached to it. However, because they're providing 10 affordable units, they are eligible for density bonus law, which gives them the concessions and waivers
got it.
and the reduced parking requirement.
That was going to be my next question. So
Okay.
thank you very much for jumping ahead there. Appreciate that. And the reduced garage dimensions falls as one of their waivers, correct?
Correct. The reduced garage dimension is just for the one-car garage, taking it from 12 feet to 10 feet, 10 inches,
And how many one-car garages are there?
10.
10.
Each of the one-bedroom units has a one-car garage.
Are they limited to the number of waivers they can ask for, or are they,
No, they're allowed unlimited waivers.
okay? If anybody else has a question, just jump in. I'm just going through my notes.
Sorry. There was a question in one of the papers that was on our desk, and it was about the oak tree that was on Oak Tree Road and the drip line that would possibly be affected by this project. Was that ever addressed?
So we contacted the consulting arborist who works for the city, and I did talk to him about the drip line that overreaches onto this property, and he said that there would be limited impacts to that tree based upon just how far that drip line encroaches onto the site. It minimally encroaches onto the site, but we could add a condition to protect it in place if needed.
Just to meet the city's guidelines. Is what I'm saying.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. At the moment.
Okay, I got a question. Condition B, Boy 20 on page 35. Permitting must design a reciprocal access road to 1801 Oak Road. But isn't the property right next door 1807, or do they have to go down past somebody else's property?
No,
to do
so
this
if you
road?
read your, our response to that letter, we've modified the condition to say that the 30-foot wide road is constructed to the southerly property line.
Okay, and so that's roughly where 1807 intersects, right?
Correct.
Okay, that was on.
Yes, that was initially a typographical on the
Got it. Okay,
address.
so that's on the supplement, I guess.
We just clarified Oak Road is between East Los Angeles Avenue and the southerly property line of the applicants.
Got it.
So the condition for the 30-foot road is in anticipation of the property being developed to the south of this? Is that one of the issues, or is that just a standard widen the road for fire department or
30-foot wide road width is a requirement of the fire department.
fire department? Okay.
I think I'll piggyback on that. Is it 30-foot fire or 30-foot for public works?
I think it's both.
Justin, our traffic engineer, Justin Link, will confirm. I know fire usually requires 25.
Good evening, Commissioners. Yes, 30 is actually a public works requirement. So 25 would be for fire department. 30 is our requirement at minimum for the width.
What's the width of the road now? 20 or?
I believe it's 15 between the existing walls, but there is a 20-foot wide easement.
Okay. So right now, in theory, there's 35 feet available, 15 plus the 20?
There is 15 feet available, but we're asking them to widen to 30 feet.
But there's currently an existing easement of 20 foot?
Correct.
Got it.
But there's a wall in the way.
Okay.
Additional question on that. Having driven the site, it seems as though that some of the utilities, the poles, would need to be relocated.
Correct, but that would be the responsibility for the development to the south.
Got it.
Would any of the utility poles be undergrounded?
I'm assuming they all would be. Maybe I didn't miss that condition.
I didn't see that. I may have missed it, but
That's an ordinance, so on-site poles would have to be
On-site poles
underground
would be
unless they
underground.
request a waiver.
okay.
Excellent.
I'm not sure if this is, was there a plan presented to us a while ago for the project south of this? Because I thought I remember something coming across way back when for the project that was south, that's got the Arroyo cutting through that piece of property.
You may have seen a general plan amendment pre-screening if you watch the city council
Okay,
meetings. That was presented to the city council.
okay.
It may have also been discussed with the housing element, as in potential properties there.
Okay, so I am not going crazy in my own mind. There was something there. Okay.
That's
got
correct.
it. Perfect. Any other questions of staff? Commissioner Kennedy?
Yeah, just a clarification. I think you said that this is an incompleted application on the property to the south that's been presented to council? City.
Yes, it's considered deemed incomplete. We are working with, or the applicant's still working to try to resubmit that to the city. They're addressing comments in our first round of reviews. So it's been through one round of review formally. They hope to resubmit as soon as they're able to resolve their concerns.
And can I ask again how long that process has been for them, timeline-wise? Just a ballpark?
I believe they formally submitted their development plans 4 or 5 months ago. They went through general plan pre-screening the prior year, and then once they got the go-ahead from city council, then they start formalizing their architectural drawings, hiring the architect and the engineer to prepare the plan. So it takes about a year to get that prepared. This case took about a little over a year to get that back to us.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions of staff at this time? Okay. Would the applicant like to present the project? Please. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Eric Miller. I'm the Director of Development at City Ventures, and I thank you for allowing me the opportunity to just present and discuss our proposed development project on 1845 Oak Road. I'd also like to thank staff for the detailed staff report. And as called out, this is the former home to the Phoenix Ranch Elementary School. Before I dive into the project, I'd like to provide a little history as to who City Ventures is. Founded in 2009, City Ventures is one of the leading infill development companies in the state of California. Since inception, we have been an all-electric solar home builder focusing on underutilized properties with the opportunity to redevelop them into housing. We've completed projects in over 90 cities. We've entitled more than 150 communities, building and selling over 10,000 homes. Now, as an infill developer, we are always building in areas that have previously been developed. So we always have neighbors. We're sensitive to those neighbors, and we do everything we can to plan and design accordingly to limit the impacts to those neighbors. Here's some examples of past City Ventures townhome projects with similar architecture as to the one we're proposing tonight, and also that you would see throughout the city of Simi Valley. I want to take a step back in time. As you could see, we started due diligence on this project almost 3 years ago in late 2021 with our pre-screening city council hearing in April of 2022. We've attended countless meetings We've designed many iterations of the site plan, and we've worked extremely hard to get through the various submittal requirements and site constraints to present this project before you this evening. Again, I'd like to thank staff for their time and efforts thus far. We truly feel that the project proposed will not only bring much needed housing, but it will be a great addition to the city of Simi Valley. Here's an aerial of the site located just east of Yosemite off Los Angeles Avenue. We feel this is a perfect opportunity for an infill development. There is numerous high-density residential neighborhoods in the surrounding area. Directly across the street is the Vons and Starbucks shopping center with various restaurants and fast food chains within walking distance. Also within close proximity is both the Simi Valley High School and Knowles Elementary School, along with the nearby park. Both schools which would the residents or the kids in this community would attend. As mentioned, this is the former Phoenix Ranch Elementary School, which was relocated in 2021 and over the last few years has sat vacant. It does consist of empty classrooms, amenity space as an empty pool, soccer field, playgrounds, and an open piece of undeveloped land. Oak Road itself is in pretty bad shape and could use some work as well. Directly to the west are the Sage Creek Apartments, and to the east is the Briarwood community, both which are zoned for high-density residential, which makes this site a perfect fit for a housing development project, as well as supporting the required upzoning needed for this project. Some project details. The project will consist of 70 for-sale attached single-family 3-story townhomes, with the primary entrance off of East Los Angeles and the secondary entrance off of Shunk Road. There will be a mixture of 1, 3, and 4-bedroom units, with the 1-bedroom approximately 725 square feet, and the 3 and 4 ranging from 1,400 to 1,700 square feet. All homes will have direct access to a private garage. As mentioned, the 1-bedroom units will have a 1-car garage. The 3 and 4-bedroom units will have a 2-car side-by-side garage, meaning the residents won't have carports or detached parking. On top of that, 18 of the homes will have their own private driveway, which will fit an additional 2 cars. Now, this isn't typical for your attached townhome communities. Some of the units will have private yard spaces, and there will be an additional 21 guest parking spaces scattered throughout the community. A common open space will be located in the center of the site, which will include barbecues, a shade structure, play lawn, picnic tables, benches. This area will give the community members a place to gather, play with their dogs, just get some quality time outside. A secondary open space is to the west of the site, which is designated for a tot lot and/or climbing logs, which have become more and more popular these days. Now, this community will be managed by an HOA, so all open space, private streets, exteriors of the buildings, perimeter walls, etc., and any equipment designed for the benefit of the community will be managed and maintained by the HOA. This slide gives you a better view of the site plan, which, as you've heard, we've worked through with staff, and it meets all city's expectations. It gives you a better layout of the building layouts, the streets, the open space, the connected pedestrian pathway, and the entrances. This slide will give you the typical building elevations, which incorporate a traditional Spanish architecture, which again is found throughout the city. We've designed the buildings with elevation pop-outs and pitched roofs to give the units more of the detached single-family home feel to them. So as mentioned in the staff report, it was called out as an issue with the drainage. So as our civil engineer started designing this project early on, it was quickly identified that the real issue is the existing drainage pattern on site. The site partially drains to the southeast, surface flowing down Oak Road. The remainder of the site drains to the southwest corner, ponding in the corner. This has been corroborated by the property owner at 1807 Oak Road, who has acknowledged and confirmed that water seeps through the wall and enters his backyard during heavy rain events. Without redevelopment, the drainage issue doesn't go away. It will persist unresolved. City Ventures is proposing to redevelop the site, which will also include improving the current conditions related to the drainage. The proposed storm drain design will reduce the amount of water draining to the southwest corner of the site. It will then manage that water to improve the conditions and protect against any impacts. The system is designed with a private pump facility, which is below ground. I think it was mentioned above ground. The pump itself is below ground. And it's engineered with operational reliability. The site's drainage will be split in half, with the north half gravity flowing underground towards East Los Angeles Avenue, while the system will capture and treat the stormwater for the southern half of the site underground, which will then slowly discharge onto Oak Road and continue down, sheet flowing down Oak Road. The system itself is a redundant system, including dual pumps to minimize the risk for malfunction. If one pump doesn't turn on for whatever reason, the other one's instantly triggered. After every rain event, the pumps will switch over, so one's not working harder than the other. If we go 30 days without rain, the system will automatically cycle to keep the pumps fresh and to avoid clogging. We will propose an emergency power source backup to ensure the pumps are continuously working even in the event of a power outage. City Ventures has agreed to provide an operations and maintenance manual along with an emergency operations plan to meet the satisfaction of the Public Works Department. As mentioned, the community will be managed by an HOA, which has annual budgets and reserves allocated specifically for third-party inspections, maintenance, repair, and replacements for these type of facilities. The system itself is a common design feature that City Ventures has successfully implemented in other municipalities that complied with health and safety codes. Over the last 1 to 2 years, City Ventures has successfully built 6 projects with a similar stormwater pump system in cities such as Long Beach, Commerce, El Cajon, Morgan Hill, and Nevada. To address the city's liability concern, City Ventures has come to an agreement with the city attorney on an indemnification agreement that will relieve the city from any future claims. To take it a step further, per the city attorney's request, each future homeowner will also be responsible separately and individually to indemnify the city of any future claims. At the end of the day, the storm drain system proposed is going to significantly improve the site's current conditions. Again, if the site is not developed, the problem doesn't go away. Now, I wanted to touch again on the all-electric solar home builder. As an all-electric home builder, there's obviously no gas to the site, which helps reduce the utility bills for the individual homeowners. On top of that, the solar panels are included with the purchase of the home on day one. The panels aren't leased, so the future homeowners immediately will experience the savings from the solar. At City Ventures, our goal is to find infill development opportunities to build quality homes. It's well documented, California needs home, Simi Valley needs home. This site is an awesome opportunity to bring a beautiful new home community to the city of Simi Valley. This concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions. We do have our architect and civil engineer to speak to any technical questions as well. Thank you.
Don't step away, we're going to keep you there. Are there any questions of the applicant?
Sure.
Okay. Sometimes you use a little thing, sometimes you don't.
Okay, so you said that there'd be a backup for the drainage pump. So what would power it? I mean, is it going to be diesel? Is it going to be like a you know, like a Tesla battery or something like that, or
So I think
or you
there's
don't know, or you just
there's
something.
yeah, there's different options. It could be a battery source, pack source. It
Yeah.
could be some type of generator, whether that's diesel or powered by electric panel
Because
or
you know,
solar panel as well.
the reason why I'm asking is because for the last few years, we've had quite a few, you know, outages in this area, so, or that area specifically. So that's why I'm asking. That may last a couple hours, maybe the whole day, you know, so I don't know. So
It's noted.
that's why I'm asking.
And I would like to point out that, you know, in the slim chance of an outage during a storm, the storm drain system, even if the pump has failed, will improve the current conditions. The water will be captured and detained underground in the pipe, which as of today, that would not happen.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yeah, it seems, I mean, you touched on it several times, it's going to improve the condition of the property with the sheet flow off of the property that's now going to that south corner of the property, and then on to the soon-to-be developed property to the south. So it seems to me, not to be the master of the obvious, but it's a matter of timing. So if they've developed the property to the south, they're going to have the same problem because that sheet flow is going to come off on that quarter onto their property, and they're going to have to mitigate that as part of their project, right?
Yeah.
So is this just a matter of timing of your project versus theirs, you mitigating it, or them mitigating it? I mean,
Yeah, and I apologize. I meant to mention this during the presentation, but as part of our design, we are also including a storm drain stub, which will allow for future connections. So if the properties to the south are developed, they have the opportunity to connect to this pipe, and then the pumps themselves will go away completely. So the city has the ability to condition the project or any future development projects to the south to make that connection. And then, as I said, the need for the pumps would go away. So to your question, it is a matter of time, you know, before the property is developed to the south, and then it can kind of connect and remove that need.
Commissioner Tolson?
Yes. With the solar, is there going to be any kind of battery storage in each of the units, or is just strictly solar for sake of solar?
Sorry. So the site itself will be powered by your standard transformers. The solar will be connected to each individual home.
But is there any kind of like a Tesla battery in each garage?
Yeah, so each garage comes with a pre-wired for an electric vehicle. So the homeowner would just have to buy the actual connection point, or the battery to charge the car.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, I'll go on that. So is there a Tesla battery pack that if the power goes out and it's at nighttime, there'll be power to the property itself? Not the ability to charge the car, but an actual $10,000 Tesla battery pack, or is it just a solar panel?
Just a solar panel, sorry.
Okay.
I misunderstood the question.
No worries. Are there any solar panels for the development itself to provide electricity for the common, either lighting or common facilities, or all those are going to be powered just off standard electricity?
Those would be powered off of standard electricity.
That's it. Any other questions for, by all means, Commissioner Kennedy?
be the master of the obvious again. So obviously, time is money, cost considerations. If we were to kick the can down the road, how does that affect your project going forward if it's delayed 6 months or a year for the other project to catch up?
I mean, it greatly impacts and jeopardizes the project overall. You know, as you saw, we've been at this for 3 years. We've had to extend kind of our escrow, and, you know, we're simply running out of time.
So I'll go with that. So here's my question. Staff report, option A, allow the applicant to request a continuance to a date uncertain so it may explore with surrounding owners, other drainage options, investigate further more traditional engineering approaches to drainage. Have you guys exhausted all traditional drainage issues, matters? Is there any other way other than this pump system to effectively make this project workable?
We have exhausted all other options. As I mentioned, the sites, or as called out in the staff report, the grade difference, along with the curb capacity, doesn't allow all the water to go to Los Angeles Avenue. Another option we looked at was raising the western side of the site, which required us to lift that about 8 feet. So the financial implications there was substantial. And then it also created, I think, a plus or minus 15-foot wall for the Sage Creek Apartments, which also goes against the city's code. So we have looked at other options. And, there's nothing in the city's code that prohibits the storm drain pump. We've, as I mentioned, it's fairly common. We do it all over the place, and we feel confident. And again, our civil engineer can speak to the design. It's efficient, it works, and we've done it before.
There's another question I can't remember. Yeah, I'll get back to it in a second, I'm sure.
Can I change the subject just a little bit?
By all means.
Okay, all right, a completely different subject. The setbacks. I don't see a problem with the setbacks when you're talking like with a fire department or with a commercial project or something like that. But to the south, there's the mobile home park, and then you also have the property that would probably be developed for, a similar project or homes or something eventually. And something like that, that's a different issue because I would rather at any time not reduce the setbacks when you're talking about that. So in my mind, reducing the setbacks to a commercial project is not really a big deal. So, in my mind, I would really prefer not to reduce any setback, at least in this project on the southern side of the property. And I know that that's not something you want to hear, but I don't know what that would do to your project on that southern part of the project. I know that you'd have to talk to the architect about that and everything.
Yeah, and we've looked at it. As I mentioned, we designed. We had many iterations of the site.
Yeah.
We tried to follow the code to the T. The loss of units.
Yeah.
The project just doesn't work. Without these setbacks that we've laid out. And our architect can speak to it. The windows, along close to the property lines, we take that into consideration. We design accordingly.
Yeah.
And with the mobile home park, we tried to design it in a way to where, the road wraps around, creating that large setback as best we could. And we oriented the buildings, again, to keeping them in mind.
And I'm not an architect. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination. And the 2 and 3 bedroom ones, they look nice. I think they look nice at least. The 1 bedroom, it looks very comes across as kind of utilitarian. And I understand that they're 1 bedroom units, and they're probably you're trying to make them so that you can kind of as a starter and everything else. But they really kind of come across to me as kind of very utilitarian. And I know that they're supposed to be affordable units and everything, and you're trying to give people that starter one, but it just really comes across as very utilitarian. That's just how I see it. So
could
my
I
perspective.
get staff to put the visual up of the setback along the apartment side there, real
You
quick?
need to unplug.
While they're looking that up, any ideas what the price tag would be on those 1 bedrooms?
So on the 1 bedrooms as the affordable, the amount changes every year. As of right now, if we were to be selling them, it would be in the plus or minus 350,000. So by making the 3 or 4 bedrooms affordable, it increases that price, makes it more difficult to qualify. So it reduces the amount of people that can purchase those homes. And like Commissioner Rice said, these are kind of designed for the starter homes, or someone fresh out of school who wants to stay in Simi Valley, work in Simi Valley, which the lack of inventory in the city.
So I'm looking at the apartment buildings there. And is that Are they facing, oh, here we go, that's
Sorry,
better.
so you're interested in
Right
the
along there.
setback to this,
So
along
it's-
the apartments?
Yeah, the apartment, so it's overlooking parking for the apartment buildings. So
Right.
that's kind of a parking lot, so that's kind of a buffer setback till you get to the apartments anyway. And do we have a visual on more direct angle to the apartments from the site? Because I was trying to drive that today, but I couldn't get in the gate for the apartments there. I'm just saying the
I was gonna
impact.
say I can pull
Yeah, I
it
mean, if I had to guess, I'd say it's at least 50 feet away from the actual site.
Yeah, that's
from the
what,
apartment
that's
building, right.
my visual on it.
And then just to touch on the southern property line, you know, again, if the proposed development to the south comes on board, they're gonna have a setback as well, so it'll create even more of a gap.
And I'll echo Ken's issue, being a real estate appraiser on the one-bedroom units. You park in the garage, there's no bathroom, first floor, no bathroom, second floor, no bathroom. You gotta go to the third floor through the bedroom to get to the bathroom. I'm the wrong demographic for that. That would be a young person, definitely, and most likely single.
Any other questions of the applicant? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Is there anyone in chamber wishing to be heard on this matter? Okay. Are there any comments from staff regarding statements made during the public hearing?
Yes, Chairman Mann, before we refer to Public Works for any of their rebuttals, I will mention there were some architectural type questions that came up before the Planning Commission. And for those who don't know, or some of you may know, as a general plan amendment with the density bonus and zone change, you have a little more discretion in the design. Although they're requesting concessions and waivers, you could also ask to maybe not do a certain concession or waiver, or maybe negotiate, offer some of these suggestions that might come about to get a better project out of the request. So that's kind of on the table if you want to pursue that, or if you think the design's appropriate, that's fine as well. Also, the regards to the pumping system, I believe staff was not aware that there may be a backup generator system, where we had a chance to review that. So particularly a diesel generator may have a potential environmental impact. Usually if it's a backup generator, there may be a noise study that would be required in particular. And siting such a generator, size and location, so that at some point that would have to be addressed. And Elizabeth, or do you have any additional items, Elizabeth?
I don't, you covered them.
Okay. And I'm just looking at Public Works staff that would like to respond to anything. Or did you have a question first?
Well, yeah, of the engineer, I mean, just a general idea of, since you deal with these pumping systems, and obviously there's a lot of utility dewatering systems in the city, I'm sure that you guys are involved with. Do you have a set of parameters that you would like to see in this pumping system that you can communicate to the applicants?
Yeah. That was a question to our engineer. Okay.
Commissioner Kennedy, at this point, I haven't seen any details on how the engineer would solve the pumping system or design it. We have some criteria, what its flow rates and things like that, but how it would be configured on the site, how they would put it underneath a roadway with heavy vehicles over it, what kind of structure it would need, or where on the ground you would locate that, or even locate the backup power generator or anything. We don't have those details. We simply have a note on the plan indicating that that would be something designed in the future.
So that's still just a big question mark at this point in time.
Correct, and part of the comments in responding to that is, I agree, there's nothing in our municipal code that prohibits a storm drain pumping system, but it's not something we've ever considered, so we don't even have a design standard to address that. So we're in a unique situation to evaluate what would be appropriate in this situation, and we just don't have any kind of paradigm to work with at this point.
Yeah, that was kind of the nexus of my question. Did we have anything that we could hand off to say this is kind of our expectation? So,
Yeah, we currently don't, but usually what we do is we find another city that's approved something and learn from them.
right. Okay, thank you.
Other comments that I'll add, one, that was the first one I was going to respond to. Mr. Miller did address pretty much all of his comments in a letter, and I provided responses and clarifications of what the city understands that's in your packet. And so I don't want to just reiterate everything that I've already written if you have a chance to read that. A couple other things was as far as the power backup, different options were mentioned. Again, we didn't even have any discussion on that, and so that, again, wasn't shown on the plan. The only other question I have is in the design, an expectation was made that the city would have the ability to require the property owner to the south to extend the storm drain stub that they were installing. I don't know a mechanism for doing that, so at this point, it would not be something that Public Works would know how to require an adjacent, especially if it's not a historic drainage path. This is a new drainage that's being put underground, so I don't know what mechanism we could ever have to require the southerly property owner to accept that drainage and extend it down to the Arroyo Simi. That's the extent of my clarifications of the comments made. So some clarification, the property owner already drains to the south, but that's south of this property, generally in the same pattern. It all drains towards the western boundary and thus then to the Arroyo Simi. That's the general layout of all the ground in this area. So as far as an engineer, I'm looking at, it would be unlikely that an engineer would recommend his owner take all the drainage from the west boundary and try to pipe it all the way over to Oak and then down to the Arroyo Simi. Because right now, pretty much you can carry a majority of the property by surface drainage that's south of them and a minor amount of piping and eventually get it to the Arroyo Simi.
And then to follow up on that, commissioners, ideally as planners, we want to see communities built as a whole, work with your neighbors to develop an area. And we've encouraged applicants to communicate with their neighbors about coming up with a solution. So we try to promote that in our review process. And what you have in your packet is what we have to try to facilitate that. So that's where we're at now. But ideally, applicants try to work together to come up with a solution.
Okay. Any more comments from staff regarding public? Okay. Would the applicant like to respond to any of the comments regarding statements made during the public hearing? By all means, please, come on up.
Couple, and then our civil engineer will as well. Touching on the emergency backup power source, that came from, I believe, the mitigation measures in the MND from the city. So we were simply agreeing to that. We haven't really landed on whether it's solar or battery or gas. It was really just to, agree and try to come up with a solution. As far as the not providing the details or anything like that, or the operations manual, maintenance manual, none of those were requested during this time. And typically it's done during the final engineering, which we will obviously do. So I just want to make that a point. And I'll let our civil engineer speak to the technical.
Hi, I'm Dane McDougall with C&V Consulting. I'm the civil engineer. I guess I just want to state that in terms of the pump and redundancies and everything that we've done, this is the most robust system that you can make. We've added additional pumps into that same sump. That way, if one fails, there's other pumps to take over. And then the backup power, that's essentially what industry standard is for robustness in a, whether it be a sewer lift station or a storm pump like this. So this is the most that anyone's going to do, whether it's private or public or anything of that nature. And then I want to point out too that the pump itself, this isn't a life safety health issue, because if the pump fails, if that thing's not working, the water continues to flow downhill. Like, we're not changing, we're not blocking it and creating a pool where all of a sudden water's going to pond up and homes are being flooded. So, to me, the amount of redundancy and backup that's been added is commensurate with the risk, which in my opinion, and that's a professional opinion, is pretty low. No one's homes are getting flooded here. In terms of the pump, I think we've done a pretty good job, and like Eric said, we don't have all the details. I know Brent, would like to get his hands on those. Those come with construction drawings. We're still at a preliminary design level, so this is typically what's provided at this level. But certainly they will be provided when we do construction drawings.
Question?
By all means, please.
Okay, yeah. The continuous of the flow downhill if the system fails for any way, shape, or form, because it is pooling to that one section over there. Is that as simple as just holes in the wall, or?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. There's two locations. There's Oak Road that water would flow to, and that's obviously an open street. And then there's those knockouts in the southwest corner, and those are important because if something happens, the water is going to need to get out some way. And through our analysis of the existing condition, that's what's happening right now. This is the historical drainage flow. When you pull up a Google Earth or a map and you just look at where the arroyo is and the road, I mean, you can tell the site is coming to the southwest. That's how this area of town is draining, and I think we're respecting that pretty well. And I think a lot of the commentary and the responses, in Brent's letter about us changing the flow, we're talking about 300 feet from the southwest corner to Oak Road. And to me, when you look at historical drainage patterns in California drainage law, they're talking before anything was built. They're talking literal historical drainage patterns. So 300 feet is pretty good, in my opinion, on that. So I think we're doing what it is intended and what, effectively would be within our rights to do. I don't think we're doing anything too odd in the design.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Thank you very much for your time. No other responses from the applicant to anything that was brought up? Okay. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and, if there's no further questions, we're going to close the public testimony portion of the hearing. Do any planning commissioners have any questions? Okay, I got some. Probably a city attorney question. The language for the indemnity to the city.
Yes.
Is that a deed restriction, or is it just buried in the CC&Rs, or is it actually in the deed? How will a buyer know that this exists?
Well, I wasn't privy to
Oh,
the
I'm sorry.
negotiation.
Okay.
Well, wait, is my speak? Yeah, it is, okay. So I wasn't privy to the negotiations, and so perhaps you can answer that question. I did talk to Carl about it, and he said that he feels that the restrictions are adequate. I can assure you that.
Okay.
But if,
We're going to open up the public testimony again so we can hear you. Sorry.
Real quick, that was discussed internally, and it will be included in the CC&Rs. So all homeowners will be privy to that prior to the purchase of the home.
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm gonna
No, that's
go,
all right,
I'm
that's
gonna
all
go
right.
ahead and close the public testimony part again. So if anyone else has a question, just jump in. If not, I got a few. So does the city currently have any other developments, whether it be residential, commercial, industrial, that has a private pumping system similar to this? Because maybe I misunderstood the question and the answer earlier.
Commissioner Mann, I do know of one project I was able to research. I've only been here 12 years, but on Cochrane, an apartment project does have a pump system apparently. But
Okay.
it's the one I was referring to that had a 12-inch drain pipe onto the neighbor.
Okay? So my next question is, on the little map, shows that there's an existing wall at the corner that has knockouts. Is that wall staying, or are those knockouts staying as part of this development?
There are no existing knockouts. There's a solid screen wall that some testimony has been provided by the applicant that there's seepage through the wall. However, there's not enough seepage to prevent ponding, so it's unclear of the rate of seepage or anything. The knockouts would be a brand-new design that would be installed once the project was done to try to prevent this project from being flooded should the pumps fail, but they do not exist at this time.
I thought I heard something about the fire department or somebody had put holes in the wall for flooding or for drainage.
That was placed on the western wall
Okay.
against the parking lot, from what I understand.
Okay? So nothing on the southern wall that's there now, correct? But,
I don't have any documentation showing that there's any penetration there.
so, well, on the map, it says wall knockouts for emergency overflows. Are those existing or are those proposed?
Proposed.
Proposed. Okay. Their engineer brought up a good point. Currently, does the city do anything with pumping of sewer lift? Do we have to pump our sewage somewhere uphill?
Correct. The city does have numerous lift stations where we bring sewer flows up and run it back into gravity throughout the city.
So in theory, we have the same potential problem if those lose power,
Correct.
our sewer's not being pumped somewhere.
Correct. And for public works, you typically would have preparation to run generators around because you have sufficient capacity wells for each of the locations. And some actually would have a generator system built as a part of it. For sewer, it's very concerning because if we make a mess, then we've got fines and everything else.
Right, unlike
versus
rainwater.
Stormwater. But
Okay. Is there no way to do an above-ground retention detention basin on the project? Was that even considered, or has it just always been underground with a pump?
I did not see any above-ground situation. The only thing is to fill the whole entire site with a development, which then required an underground detention system.
I'm assuming there's a calculation for how big the site is or how big the development is as to how big an above-ground retention basin has to be?
I don't have a calculation for that, but
I'm assuming there is a standard calculation that if I'm building a development, I have to have a retention basin so big?
so a rule of thumb we use is the volume that would be necessary. So I think this was a 3.5 acre. So it would be, because it's a flow through, 2.5 times 3. Now you've got an engineer trying to do math without a calculator.
Let's get, so there is already a calculation for
There's a
that.
way to calculate that
Okay.
as a rule of thumb. But the problem is the detention basin has to be empty for the next storm.
Right.
So within 72 hours, that water in the basin has to go somewhere. So even if it was above ground, it would have to flow through the wall
Or somewhere,
somewhere.
okay? I'm assuming there's also a calculation then for below ground, or do we just have a big barrel under there with some kind of sump pump in it, or is there, I'm assuming again, there's a calculation.
More typically, projects have always had a storm drain close by, or the arroyo, or a drainage, or something, or maybe it was a little higher that it could drain to a street, and
Right.
gravity would drain an above ground or a below ground detention system. That's pretty much what we always see. a pumped system is rare. You know,
Okay.
Again, the 12 years I've been here, this is the first time I'm being asked to review and try to approve a pump system.
Okay. That's it for me for now. Any other questions?
One more question of staff, since the single-car garages were how deep? They were 10 foot 6 inches? 10 foot 10 inches
So the
wide,
single-car
correct?
garages are 10 feet, 10 inches wide by 20 feet deep.
20 feet deep. Okay, all right. I heard that right. I just got really confused for a second. Okay, we're good.
And standard is 12 feet, so they want to take off
Yeah.
like 18 inches. Again, 14.
Yeah, 1
Okay,
foot, 2
it's like asking a
inches.
realtor to do math. It's not going to happen without a calculator. Sorry, not. Zero lift. The applicant mentioned that they would treat the water before they put it somewhere. What are they treating it for? It's rainwater or stormwater. They have to treat it for something?
So we always treat stormwater because it flows across the ground. It can pick up any kind of pollution. Things that could be easy pick up as trash or debris. And the other thing is just sediment. So
Okay.
especially if you have something that's underground, you got to keep the sediment, which is like the silts and clays, out of there. So they'd be creating devices. In this case, they have some very sophisticated devices. They're very effective that actually flow it into an area where there's plants and such growing, so that the soil and the plant material pull out pollutants and those sorts of things. But that's the idea of treatment, is to keep it from going downstream to the next city. And that's a requirement we have from the Water Quality Control Board for Southern California.
No, since Moore Park is below us, I think Moore Park appreciates that.
They certainly do.
I don't think I have any other questions for staff. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Please have a reading of the resolution. We're at that point, right? Well, I guess, do any commissioner have any comments first? Sorry.
Well, I have a comment.
Okay.
I did like the tree survey and the traffic study, where I thought was pretty thorough, so I will make that comment.
Okay, fair enough. Any comments, gentlemen?
My thoughts are that there's so much positive on this, but the one thing is the pump. They seem to have said that there's other projects, 6 other cities that do this. So it's a matter of, getting us on board to see what those other 6 maybe communities are doing that they've already done. Everything else looks fantastic. The project, articulation, sizes and all that stuff, it's fantastic. Pricing, $350, starting price is like crazy good.
Well, ultimately, this is going to the city council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, no matter what we do here, it goes to city
Yeah.
council.
But the challenge is the pumping.
It is.
Yeah. Complete agreement except for the bathroom on the 3rd floor.
Understand.
No, but it's well planned out. I don't think the waivers that they're asking for are out of line on this. I think the project to the south is probably going to end up curing the pumping problem, right? You got to work with your neighbors on that. I'm in a hilly area. I work with my neighbors on my outflow as well. So it's a 95%, or it's at 5% on that pumping piece. So.
I guess I would go back to a question before a comment. The development to the south that has applied for whatever, it's an incomplete application, they're dependent upon this development putting forth that 30-foot road easement, correct? Because they can't do that development if there's not a 30-foot road easement through this development, correct?
I cannot comment to that effect. I don't have.
Because
those
right now,
answers.
there's not a 30-foot road, so can that project be approved with the existing 15-foot road on Oak Road?
Right now, we've just barely got the application that we currently have to know what the fire department requires. I don't have that information, so you're asking a question, we could make some conjecture, but I don't want to give you conjecture
Yeah.
when, at this
Okay.
forum.
I thought earlier it was a city traffic that requires a 30-foot road easement. So is it fire or is it city for the 30-foot road?
Probably fire, isn't it?
I'm sorry, so,
Fire is a 25-foot requirement.
right,
I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Fire is a 25-foot
I mean, what I'm
requirement.
trying to get at is this development wants to put water on their side needs this development to do the road. As I see it, I mean, I don't think they can do the project with the current 15-foot road and the 20-foot easements in place. I could be wrong, but the city would have to tell me.
So to clarify your question, if we were talking a public road versus a private road, if a public road was being built down Oak,
Okay,
it would be dedicated to the city and it would be open to all to pass.
right?
This is a private road. By showing easements on a map, do not convey any rights to any other neighbors.
Okay,
So I can't answer your question as to what the current property to the south has as a right or could acquire as a right. All I could say is if it was a public road, we could be answering your question. Yes, if it was a public road, the city would accept the right-of-way to the southern boundary. It'd be immediate access to that property owner.
And just to follow up on that, we have an incomplete application, so we really cannot answer that question.
right,
if
understood.
What sort of road's required or not.
The current development that's before us, is this 30-foot road then going to be dedicated to the city, or is it going to remain a private road?
It will remain a private road.
And so they would be responsible for their own road maintenance? I'm assuming there's a road maintenance agreement then in place somewhere? Or there will be? I don't remember seeing that as a condition.
Since this is one property, they would be maintaining the road completely.
Okay,
And I don't know of any relationship that may already be pre-existing for Southern Lee. Are there other people that are enjoying the roadway that may exist? But again, that's not available to me.
but the developer has to maintain, this developer, the owner has to maintain their own road.
Everything within their boundary at this point for sure.
Got it, okay. Yeah. Okay. By all means, please.
So, Commissioners and Chairman Mann, just as a reminder, if you take a motion, 3 affirmative votes are needed to proceed for approval. If for some reason there's a 2-2 vote, that's essentially a disapproval. So if you're going that route, you may want to either think about that or consider continuance. And ideally, if you do want to request a continuance, usually we seek if the applicant concurs with that approach. So we usually give them the opportunity to concur with that continuance.
Okay. Question, if we're going to even consider that route, do I open the public hearing part again to ask the applicant that question?
Yes, you may. I just want to clarify, you don't, in other words, you can continue it regardless of whether or not the applicant requests it.
Correct.
The applicant could request it, though. If they start seeing that they need to provide more information because you're hesitant on granting approval now, they could request a continuance. So yes, at that point, you would open it up to them.
Does it make a difference whether they request it or whether we just vote on it?
No.
Okay. Okay. Bottom line, I'm going to open up public hearing just to ask the applicant, would you like a continuance or would you like us to go ahead and do the vote? Oh, good, a new person.
Hi, my name is Michelle Thrakunchawi with City Ventures. And the short answer is, obviously, our preference would be for you to vote on it. However, if the drainage issue is a sticking point, we would highly encourage you to create a condition. As Commissioner Rice pointed out, ultimately, it's a city council decision. So if there's any condition that we can add that hasn't already been discussed, we would be more than happy to review that in exchange for a favorable vote this evening.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing again.
Doesn't condition B13 kind of
It
address
does.
that?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Staff, do you concur?
Yes, we would concur.
Okay. Sure, we'll open up the public hearing again. Come on down.
I apologize.
I'm going to be fair.
I just want to comment, obviously, the storm drain pump is the sticking point. You know, you brought up a good point with the sewer lift station. You know, we have those on other projects, and, you know, the HOAs are responsible to maintain those similar as they would for this storm drain pump. You know, the HOAs, if they have the capability to maintain a sewer lift station, I would think we can agree that they would have the capability to maintain a storm drain pump. And the only thing else I'd like to say is about your point, the 30-foot road. It was explained to me that if our project moves forward with the 30-foot road, the easement for the property to the south would also be a condition or a requirement so that they would have access to, you know, exit their property.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and close the public testimony. Now a question back for staff. The applicant just brought up, is that a true statement that this project is conditioned upon giving an easement to the project to the south for access on that 30-foot road? Sorry, guys, for making you do all this work.
My apologies, you're going to have to repeat the question.
Oh, great. The applicant brought up the statement that this project is conditioned upon giving an easement for the other project to the south.
So there's a distinction here. So this project is conditioned to construct a 30-foot wide roadway. They are not conditioned to create an easement. So there's an existing 20-foot easement that runs from East Los Angeles Avenue to the southern property, and that is a current dedication.
Okay.
We are not compelling City Ventures to increase the width of that easement. We don't have the ability to compel City Ventures to increase the width of that easement. That could be construed or could be a taking, a constitutional taking, for us to compel the property owner to say, here, you need to dedicate an irrevocable access or access rights to another property owner. The city doesn't have the ability to do that. So what we are requiring City Ventures to do is construct a 30-foot wide roadway.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Trained him well. Okay. Any other questions or comments from Planning Commission? Oh, sorry. Okay, we're gonna open public testimony yet again. Come on down.
The 30-foot easement is shown on our map, so we would be providing that.
Right.
So, and it was, you know, if it was explained to me that, you know, the 20-foot easement, the property to the south, if it was to move forward, they wouldn't just get 2/3 of the road. They would get access to the entire road. So the easement is shown, and we're happy to provide that to the property to the south.
Would you like to come up and join, or public testimony is still going on?
Because we're on the topic. Because it was asked previously, I just want to clarify that the property to the south cannot be redeveloped without the 30-foot road improvement. So we are proposing to build the 30-foot road, which will service our property, and will also service any future development that may come in the future to the south of us.
Got it.
That was a point question. I just want to make sure that was on the record.
Okay.
Just as a point of order, that would be very kind of them to do that.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and yet again close the public testimony and, sorry. Any other comments, questions, jokes, remarks, comments, suggestions, or recipes from Planning Commission? Okay. The way I view it, we have three options, A, B, or C. Nobody seems to, you brought us some good comments about the design, the architecture, so did you. You had comments about it. I think overall it is a very good project moving forward. Certainly the storm drain seems to be an issue and a sticking point for quite a number of people. I'm not sure if we're splitting the atom here or creating anything other than redefining and doing something that's already been done, either once in the city and or with sewer lifts. So it is a question, but I'm not sure if that would consider not approving the project. So that's, by the way, that's my comment.
I don't see approval of the project as A, B, or C. Once a continuance, deny, or does not concur.
Recommending approval. C is
C is the approval. Got it.
So
Want to make sure.
continuance, denial, or approval? Okay. We already know they're not looking for a continuance, although we can continue it if we thought that there would be some sense that they can come up with a different plan, which seems to be the issue for the drainage.
Well, I think our issue really is my reading of the room is that our big issue is the drainage.
Right.
But B13 seems to satisfy that, and as long as we make a big point of that and push that on to city council, I think we're good. I think we've covered obviously, city council is going to understand that that's our issue.
Yes.
So.
Because I'm sure they're all at home watching this meeting as.
Oh, every one of them.
Yes, as we do that now. Okay, another comment?
Let's vote it.
Let's go back to, may I please have a reading of the resolution?
Resolution number SVPC 09-2024. A resolution recommending that the City Council approve a general plan amendment, GPA-2022-0001, zone change Z-S-2022-0003, plan development permit PD-S-2022-0012, investing tentative map VTT-2024-0001 to allow construction of a new 70-unit, 3-story, multifamily residential condominium development located at 1845 Oak Road, and adopt a mitigative negative declaration and mitigation monitoring plan.
Just as another further point of clarification, I just want to make sure we do not have to have referenced the housing agreement in here, the affordable housing agreement, because that's not within our purview.
That's correct.
Got it, okay. May I have a motion? Don't be shy.
Go ahead. Not even on the right page, so I'm trying to find it. So.
Page 17.
Is it, I move to adopt a resolution recommending to the city council approval of GPA-2022-0001, Z-S-2022-003, PD-S-2022-0012, VTT-2024-001, and mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring plan.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Tolson. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second from Commissioner Kennedy. Call for the vote.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
There's no appeal period for the general plan amendment, zone change, plan development, permit, or vesting tentative map, and the item will proceed to the city council with the planning commissioner's recommendation. Moving on with our public hearings, congratulations. Oral reports, oral communications and reports. Staff.
Yes, Chairman and Madam members of the Planning Commission, we are coming back on September 4th for another Planning Commission hearing. We got the Envision Simi Valley specific plan, which is coming forward to you. We're going to try to get that report out to you a little early so you can start reading it ahead of time. We'll do our best to get that to you. And we also have another development project on that application on that date.
Okay. Any planning commissioner, anything to report?
Nope.
Mobile Home Rent Mediation Board,
No items tonight.
Tree Advisory Board,
No items tonight.
Going to adjourn this meeting of August, what is it, 21st again? Just verify. August 21st, and we will reconvene on September 4th, 2024. Meeting is adjourned.